Item is a request to add an addendum to the city sex offender ordinance. And the committee will consider adding an addendum to the sex offender ordinance that consists of the places and addresses of restricted areas.
So what we're looking to do tonight, and I can explain this, is to table this. There are a couple things I want to kick back off to the attorney's office to have them look at before we put it into place. And one of it is kind of how to adopt it. Do we adopt the whole new ordinance, or do we add an amendment to the ordinance? And basically what you're going to see, the biggest changes that you would see is it actually is going to list out the restricted areas, and then there are maps that will be attached to it as well. So just trying to look at the best way to get this done. So we'll kick it back to Redmond and Winchell and get their opinion on that before we move it forward for a vote.
Okay.
So,
But those, what we had though, those are the areas that we're talking about.
yeah, that section D, the restricted areas 1, and then restricted areas 2.
They're in that, 'cause he was gonna.
And this is,
Yeah.
No,
It was written in the packet.
we didn't get it.
I took it out because he was gonna table it,
Oh,
so
okay,
that's fine,
yeah,
yeah.
okay. Let me just pass it around real quick just so everybody can see it. It's basically the parks,
the schools, parks.
area.
Yep.
What is there any restricted areas now, or I don't remember what was in the current ordinance?
Yeah, I don't know that it lists specifics as to what the
Just
restriction
list the
is.
750 feet.
750
Oh,
feet.
all right.
The other thing that we were looking at adding into this too is that every day that if you live in that area, every day you're in violation of that ordinance, so every day it can be a $500 fine. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so again, but we want to kick that back off to make sure that we're doing it right. Basically that portion of it, we've sent this off once or twice now, and it's going to kind of mirror Waterville, the city of Waterville's a little bit was what was recommended by the attorneys for us to kind of mirror would be Waterville's.
Good.
All right, so we'll table that until you've got a better idea?
Thank you.
All right, and the next item is a request to appoint Jill Scioscia as a member of the OTO Fiber Corporation. The committee will consider the appointment of Jill Scioscia as a member of the Old Town Fiber Corporation.
University of Maine has members on there. Orono has 3 members on there. We have 3 members. So our 3 members are Bruce Segee, EJ, and before it was Casey Lagarde. This appointment would be for a 2-year term to fill that term, which is now vacant.
And EJ is still on?
He's on,
That-
yeah. Yep.
What is that OTO Fiber Corporation?
That was formed for the fiber that's being run, going to be run. Remember Jeff Letourneau came here earlier this summer to talk about that between Old Town and Orono. We have a corporation that's formed to oversee that as far as the construction of it.
And Jeff is not on the committee?
He is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he's
is?
one of the University of Maine
Oh,
representatives.
he's
Yeah.
with the university.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I originally asked him to be on here, and he said, well, I really can't, because I think I'm going to have to be the university's rep, so.
So does this just go to the, on the regular agenda coming up at some
Right,
point?
yep.
Okay.
Matter of fact, tonight.
Oh, is it on there
Yeah.
tonight? Okay.
All right, so do we need to vote on it, or we're all set?
If
Well, I
if we
mean, if it's-
did,
if
to
we're
move it
going-
forward to
Yep.
tonight's.
Make a motion to move this forward, to appoint Jill Scioscia to the member of the OTO Fiber Corporation.
So move.
All those in favor?
Just us 3 tonight.
Is it
Just
just the
us 3.
three of us?
Yep,
Okay.
just us 3.
Adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Why?
Jan, seconding, right?
Yeah.
Favor 3, okay. All right. I call the October 21st, 2019 Finance Committee meeting to order. Request to adopt a taxi cab voucher program. Chief Wilcox.
So we started doing some joint command staff meetings at Public Safety. And one of the things that had come out of this was this program. And what we keep getting a lot of times with our ambulance calls is we'll show up at people's residence and they'll say, if I had a means of transportation, I would go to the hospital tonight. it's not that we do anything for them between their home and the hospital in the back of that ambulance. They just don't have a way to get there. A lot of it is being contributed to like a walk-in care. If they could get to a walk-in care, they'd go to walk-in care, but they just can't get there. So we become that mode of transportation to get them to a hospital, but we don't necessarily do anything for them in the back of that ambulance. So I'm just looking to see if it's something that you would like for us to explore. It is going on across the country and in different places that it is funded by the cities, and we would go and look to see what taxi companies would do to bid out a flat rate of their transportation from Old Town to St. Joe's or Old Town to Easton, Maine, and then what a return trip would look like on that as well, and then compare that to the costs of sending a ambulance out of taking that ambulance out of service, just really to basically be a mode of transportation to the hospital, and then see if it's worth doing this taxi voucher program, leaving that ambulance in service in the community for when it necessarily is needed, and not becoming that taxi back and forth with that piece of apparatus.
So would the taxi cab sit there and wait at the hospital? They'd go and then they'd call him back and...
Right. So, again, this is the early stages, but the voucher would be for that. Let's say that's the case, that you show up at this person's house and they're like, look, I would get to the hospital, but I don't have any transportation. Can you take me down there? I'm not feeling well. They can't describe why they're not feeling well. There's not anything that we do for them other than put them on they sit down in the ambulance. A lot of times they may not even get on the stretcher. They may sit in the seat. We drive them down to the hospital and we just drop them off, basically bring them in. Here they are. They say don't feel good. But we're taking that piece of apparatus out of service for a period of time. And we think it would be, beneficial for the city to start this program, and we'd save you money in the long run besides taking that out of town. You're looking at gas, you're looking at vehicle maintenance, what we pay the paramedics to go down there, and then that truck's out of service. So realistically, it's just to see if this is something that you'd like to have us pursue forward with. It was an idea that came out of the staff meeting. We think in the long run it would save money and that it would actually allow that truck to be in service more frequently.
Questions?
Makes a lot of sense.
It sounds to me like there's the opportunity to save a bunch of
Yeah.
callback overtimes and stuff too. By
That's correct.
not having the ambulance tied up for something that really doesn't need to be tied up for.
Yes. Yep.
Who's going to make that decision, though, the
It would-
determination?
That's a good question. That would be the medic on the scene. So the medic who evaluates it, as always, would be like, it sounds to me like you just need a ride more than you need to go to the hospital. And then you need we're going to do anything for you, right? So
So we would call the taxi at that point?
you would give them a voucher. We would call a
Oh.
taxi. The taxi would come. They'd present that voucher to the taxi company, and then they would. And again, I don't know if that's something that they would bill us for that ride, that flat rate, and then we can turn that around and pay them out a check
Right.
when that happens.
And other people do this?
Well, it's happening across the country. I actually found one in.
It makes sense what you're saying.
Right.
This one's actually in San Antonio, Texas, but that they've cut down on their cost per year and saving wear and tear on vehicles and what they're paying people. And then the callback is another huge thing where you wouldn't be calling back people to staff which is a minimum 4 hour.
Right.
So the city funds the entire voucher.
You would.
Citizens billed at all? Like when you take them in an ambulance, they bill, don't they?
They are billed. A lot of times what happens is, so we have a billing company that does all of that for us because it protects us from HIPAA. They'll bill whatever insurance they have first. Whatever's left over, they will bill the individual. More times than not, we write a lot of money off because the individual doesn't pay that remaining balance. So it will go to a collection agency, then after that, the collections will contact Danielle and say, hey, listen, you've got this on the books, we're not going to collect it, and we write off.
I mean, my thought is that, assuming if they had the money for a taxi, they would have already called the taxi to take him somewhere
Right.
at the beginning.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking.
I guess my only concern would be who's going to be responsible if something happens to that person
So if
the
the
medic has made a determination and,
So then we put them in a taxi, they're driving down, and all of a sudden they have a heart attack,
Yeah.
and it's not good. The end
Yeah.
result's
I
not good. Are
mean-
we responsible for that, making that call?
I think we trust them every day to make that decision in the back of the ambulance, whether they're going to go into a cardiac or
then
not.
it's in the ambulance.
Right.
We're protected then.
Again, I
Once we
think,
put them in a
you know,
cab, what happens? liability-wise?
I guess that would be a question that we would reach out to Redmond and Winchell for.
Probably want to make sure we at least have that information.
And how many taxi services do we have in Alta? How many taxis are available in Alta?
Oh, you got
One,
Two,
one.
three, probably
three
three.
or four. And I mean, the thing of it is, you know, you have ones that do it during the day,
Yeah.
as Chief knows, then you have some that do it at night till 1 or 2 in the morning, maybe, depending on what the crowds are with it. So,
Well,
I mean, if it's 3 in the morning, it might have to be us because there's no cabs available. You know?
That would be part of that agreement with the cab company.
Okay, that they have to be available no matter what.
That's correct. Yeah, they'd have to be available.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think we just get some more information for us and bring some
Sure.
numbers and stuff. And
I think it's definitely worth looking into.
absolutely. And the liability factor. I mean, I do wonder if we
That
put them in a
would be
cab
my-
and
that
would be my
something
biggest
happens.
concern.
It's a good question.
That worries me, the liability, and I think we're losing something in quality of, you know, care for the person. If they would if they could take a taxi, they probably would, like you said.
Right, if they had the money. You know, and when you bring this back to us, can you just kind of check to see if you know how many calls this might be per year in the past? I don't know if you even have that or not.
That's going to be tough, but I can try.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best to get that for you.
Okay.
Yep, no question.
Any other questions for Chief on this?
Nope.
Thank you.
Sure.
Transfer station update. You, boss?
Sure.
Okay.
The Pine Tree reached out to us just to let us know that currently University of Maine, the state, and Orono takes their brush over to Thornton's for nothing. They take it over there 7 days a week for nothing. And so they just put it out on the table that if we wanted to think about doing that at our transfer station, that could be a possible service that we could consider doing over there too, is to take brush over there for no cost.
So,
So if you didn't buy a sticker or anything here to go to our transfer station, but it's springtime, you want to get rid of your brush,
right.
we just give you a little sticker either down here at City Hall or at the transfer station. You take your brush over there for free. It doesn't cost you anything.
Do we pay right now to take it up there to the station? You have to have you have to have that ticket.
And not only that, but they would take, if you were clearing out some trees on your lot, you cut down, say, several apple trees, and you had someone pull the stumps on those, you could take stumps over there for like $25, which is really, really cheap. Because Thornton's is just looking to get that material because they grind it up and
Right.
weed chips and do whatever with
Whatever with
it.
that. So it's kind of, I mean, it's not that far over. It's just over in Milford.
All depends where you are in town. Some people
Right.
will be further away and some people will be closer.
Right. But if they have a permit, they're probably going to take it up there. Anyways, people without a permit wouldn't have to go buy
Right.
one then.
Just something to consider. They just threw that out there, and I just wanted to pass that on. I can bring that back again later on. If you have questions or want more information on it, I can
Just
send
bring it to
stuff to you.
just bring it to next
Where
month's
is it-
meeting.
Where is it located? That they
Right
take-
at Thornton's business in Milford.
It's on
Where-
the,
Down on the I don't have the
isn't it
address.
right on the main road in Bradley?
Right.
Yeah, it's not that far. It's just the bridge over. Not that far.
Before you get to the Bradley Town line.
Yes.
Oh, oh.
Why don't you bring that to us at the next meeting?
Okay.
Thank you.
Give us time to think about it, and we can take care of it. Thank you.
Yep.
Finance Department. Danielle. These have been great updates that you've been
Yes,
giving
they
us.
have.
So for the month of September, we had some grants come in and some billing went out, so I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. We billed the RSU $16,120, which was 50% of their cost for the tennis courts and the basketball nets that we put in. That, if you remember through the budget, there was no impact on the city. We took it out of the facility reserve for our cost of that. We received $4,890 from Efficiency Maine for the library light upgrade to LEDs. We received $1,200 from the Maine Municipal Grant Ed McDonald for the purchase of the fallout belts and tether belts for the fire department.
Nice.
We billed the RSU $36,918, which is 50% of the school resource officer. This is the first year that the city and the school had to take 100% of the cost. All the DOJ grants were gone.
Okay.
And the airport received $170,265 for the new hangar construction. And that's I forget what those funds are, Bill. That grant is, but that's for the new 6-bay hangar, so the offsetting cost, again, it's grant money, so the city's expended out, we're getting reimbursed back.
Right.
It's AIP project.
AIP. On the expense side, under the manager, we had $3,000 for streets landscaping. That was for the demo of 1065 West Old Town Road. We purchased, or we put a deposit on the City Hall security cameras, $4,972. We also put a deposit for the library's cameras and door counters of $4,137. Both those projects are going on and should be wrapped up early in November. We purchased 2 portable radios for $1,960, which will be reimbursed by the Burn Jag grant in November as well. The cost of the LED upgrade for the library was $17,222. We have expense for the Brownfield ransom grant assessment of $4,649. That money will be reimbursed by grant funds as well. We paid our annual fee to Penobscot County, $657,253. I was going to say 53 cents. No way. We paid for our annual water quality testing at the landfill of $3,313. We had our annual fee for the mapping software in the assessing department of $3,700. Our municipal building repairs and maintenance, we paid $1,140 for the fire department to add additional speakers to the overhead paging system, and this is to cover the rooms that didn't currently have it, so there's full coverage in the building. We paid $3,234 for a failed chiller control at the library. We found that it was just always on, so this fix will save energy cost. And again, here's where the miscellaneous expense is, $26,835 for the tennis courts, $5,405 for the basketball nets. Again, we billed the RSU 50% of that. Our police other contractual services, we had $6,250. That's for year 2 of our TASER contracts. Our fire, travel, and training, we had the Wilderness Rescue International Swift Water Training. For the total is $2,170, split between fire and ambulance. We had 7 people attend the course. And then we had in the fire department, again, we're in the wrapping up of our annual contract of the clothing for $2,290. You'll see the same thing again in the ambulance department. The ambulance travel and training is, again, the wilderness, the Swiftwater training. We purchased a lateral airway management, whatever the thing we bought last month, we bought the training piece for it this month, the scope that goes down your throat. And then our contract obligation. Public Works, we paid Stillwater Environmental $10,262 for our stormwater management and inspection. The airport, we had a broken hose rewind, so we had to pay $1,369. And that is what I had. Any questions on the financials, general or pollution?
Questions?
I do.
Yeah.
A little more complicated than just with that summary you just gave us. I have a bunch of questions about some line items.
Yeah.
The one that jumps out at me is I noticed a lot of the utilities are really high as far as the percentage total for this point in the year. I'm just kind of curious why that is. If somebody knows the answer to that.
I can look into it.
Central government utilities are at almost 65% already. City clerk's at 43%. City manager's at 38%. Let's see. Those ones jumped right out at me as being considerably high. I'm just wondering if there's something that's driving that or what. Let's see, under central government, I noticed that the insurances are listed at 75% already.
That's the full year cost, so that won't go up.
Okay.
We paid that back in
All right, well,
July.
that was one of my questions, and some of that stuff like that. Same thing under, there's a couple places I noticed under professional fees and services that they're pretty high already. I didn't know if there's a bunch of stuff that got paid right when the budget started, or what the, there's one under city clerk. There was one under the assessor, one under public safety, one under fire operations, under ambulance. Pretty much across the board, the professional fees and services are, some of them are actually over already, which is a little concerning. One of my concerns when I look at these numbers, I know when we did the budget this year, we talked about how we adjusted up a bunch of lines so that we'd fall within, be able to stay within budget throughout the year, and 25% of the way through the year, we have some budgets that are at 100% or more. That's very concerning for me, so.
That's what I'm wondering. Some of these are like you pay them up as soon as we have
We
the
pay a
money
lot of
come in.
upfront.
That's what my questions
That's what we
are.
gotta find out.
Yeah, I mean, I can go back and read, July and August to see, because in those months, we did pay a lot of the
For the
annual
year,
fees,
for the
yeah.
year, that's what I'm starting to wonder, but you're right. That's,
So, I mean, rather than, I can give you these things that I've highlighted, rather than go down through every single one of these, but, it's all general questions like that.
Yeah.
We're a quarter of the way through the year, and we've got stuff that's at 50, 60, 70%. I'm just kind of wondering
Yeah.
what's driving that. I want to make sure that it's not, I want to make sure it's okay, we got a one-time fee for this, we pay at the beginning of the year, and not, we've already overspent that by 50%.
Correct.
I don't want to find out halfway through the year that we have a bunch of line items that are going to be
Right.
over by 100% at the end of the year.
right.
So.
Yep.
So I can give you these when I
Okay.
leave, so you
Yep.
can take a look at them that way.
Absolutely.
Great. Any other questions for Danielle? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's it for finance. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
So that is gonna be Kyle and then Carol. All those in favor? 3-0, and it is 6:22. Okay, we will move right along to the special council meeting. So I call the October 21st, 2019 special council meeting to order. Flag salute. Kyle, you do that for us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
A silent roll call has been taken and a quorum is present.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the October 7th, 2019 regular council meeting minutes? Donna, okay, and then Shirley. So Donna, and then Shirley seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? And opposed? 6-0. Petitions, communications, citizen requests. At this time, is there anyone in the audience that would like to discuss an item that's not on the agenda? We'll move on from there. Reports, council president. Nothing. Standing committees, city councilors. No? Okay. City attorney.
Just two quick updates for you. First, on the appeal, the tax abatement appeal for Xpera, we filed our appeal with the Superior Court from the State Board of Property Tax Review's decision, which was issued in August. Our timeline is probably that our brief will be filed within the next 30 days. The opposition's brief will be filed within 30 days after that. We'll have a decision, I would expect, from the Superior Court sometime toward the end of this year or early next year. I don't know how that goes. We'll talk about whether there's a further appeal to the law court, which might be necessary, and given the issues at stake in the appeal, which are essentially the use of bankruptcy sales as comparable sales for facilities, which is a unique thing. Never before has the board ruled that way. We might be asking other municipalities or MMA to join us in filing what are called Friends of the Court briefs with the court to pick up any additional support that we can, what that's worth. And a follow-up in connection with the order of condemnation regarding the property that we took where the sewer line is a couple of meetings ago. The next step in that process is for us to file a complaint of sorts. Complaint's really a misnomer. That's what they're called, and you file it with the court, letting the court know that we have taken this property and there are unknown owners, and we'll publish a notice and in due course somebody comes forward with a claim of good title, they'll get some money, and if nothing happens, then it'll all be over in a short period of time. The
Good.
fact is, you've taken title to the property, it's just a question of whether we owe any money to anyone.
Right.
That's what that's about, but it has nothing to do with the fact that we own the property.
Okay. Any questions for the attorney? Nope. Thank you, sir. Special committee, city manager.
Dog park. Only location that looks like will be really viable for that, and moving that forward is probably out on the airport property off in Gilman Falls, right next to the airport road, where there's already an existing field out there. Looking at some of the sizes that Mr. Greenleaf had brought in, he was looking at some pretty substantial areas. Just where it's flat down there where the lupinol grows, that's about 3.78 acres in there, and to be honest with you, I can't imagine an area that you'd need bigger than that for a dog park. So it's a matter now of kind of getting back with him and seeing what kind of budget that he's thinking about, and talking with you folks about maintaining it and permitting it, and how we want to move that forward, or if we want to move it forward.
The impression I got was that it sounded like he was looking to get private donation funding, whatever, to pay for any type of fencing or anything like that. So, I mean, it sounds like the upfront cost would be little or nothing for the city.
Yeah.
And it would just be a maintenance issue after that, and we're already taking care of the property. I guess it wouldn't be, I'd like to see it move forward to see what the bigger plan looks
Right.
like. Because I
Right.
think it would be a great idea. A lot of people use that area anyways
Right.
with their dogs, so
Right.
if they had a more controlled environment, it might be good.
Yep.
Okay. We good? Okay.
Good.
Bring it back to us. Good.
All right.
That it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Bill on anything? Nope. Okay.
Well,
Oh, sorry.
how are we doing on the Jersey barriers over here?
Oh, yeah.
Especially the ones up at the corner, up by the bank. You can't, it's kind of a personal issue for me, but you can't, because you can't get around the corner. No one
Yeah.
can, because the Jersey barrier, and you can't get to cross the street from this side. You can't get, so I just wondered why the Jersey barriers are still there at that corner.
Yeah, but, I mean, in talking with everybody involved and insurance companies and us as far as trying to control street, and if anything happened to those buildings and they collapsed, I don't see moving those out of there until those are gone.
But those aren't, those buildings aren't in the
Yeah.
collapse zone, are they? Those up there?
No, it's just a matter of trying to control people from walking through and whatever.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry, they don't walk through because they can't get through.
That's a good thing.
And you can't get through, and you can't get on the other side of Center Street either, I mean, on Main Street. So Main Street's you have to walk down Water Street, really, because the other side, and it's a bit of a problem. I don't think people really realize the collateral damage that the fire caused down here. It really is devastating because it's slowed traffic right down here, a whole lot. And I think I hope we can move on it pretty fast to start doing something, because the way we are right now, we really are at a standstill down here.
Yeah, we've got 2 out of the 3 insurance companies have basically okayed taking them down. We're just waiting for one. As soon as that happens, Thornton's with a low bidder on that, and their plan is to actually close down main and water for about a 4-hour time period, and they will take those buildings completely down all at once, and then they'll be able to open up both streets and take everything out of there, and they'll be able to take that out with trucks.
So at that point, you'll take the barricades out and everything?
Yeah, because the insurance companies are going to require that once the buildings are down and cleaned up, that those holes have to be filled to street level. They won't allow them to leave them, with a cellar hole there. They have to be filled. So then there's no danger of
No
anybody
danger at that point.
stepping off, falling into a empty.
What is the one insurance, what's the time frame on that?
I haven't heard back. I know David contacted him, but we're just waiting to hear back on the.
Nothing. It'd be nice to have this taken care of before
Yep.
the snow flies.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things we're pushing them on, is we don't want, to get an early snowfall of 6 or 8 inches of wet snow on top of those roofs. 'cause
Right.
that
Yeah.
could-
Might come down already.
Yeah.
What about the,
Just waiting for the actual paperwork to be signed and they've been given verbals that they have the contract.
Okay.
Oh, so
I'm-
once they have the
again, I'm just-
paperwork, then they're good to go. Okay.
There's a, on Friday, I'm going to be here to open up some of the buildings. We have, one of the requirements from Casella is they have to have a asbestos expert go in, because if there's asbestos in the load, they can still take it, but they have to, they actually GPS where that goes in the landfill. So I'm going to be opening that up noontime on Friday.
Okay.
And that may be the hesitation for one of the insurers not to sign off.
Right.
It'd just be nice to have it taken care of.
Yeah.
what about the Yamas building? Is that being redone, or do we know yet on what's happening with that one?
They are in talks of, originally, I believe that they said 4 months to have it reopened. Now I heard through the grapevine, it's going to be a year, because now you're still walking, there's still water pouring out of the wooden beams. The tile floors still squish when you walk on them.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I didn't know on Carol's, when she asked about that, I didn't know if we could just move them down and have them go across so they still can't get in there. But I didn't know if you could move them down past the good buildings and
Well, I
not,
mean, you can
as
get
far as the
by-
barricades.
Yeah, and
To the buildings that you can, so people can get into those doors. But your insurance doesn't want to do it. They want to keep
We'll-
everything up.
I'll consider anything.
Okay.
I'll look at it.
yeah.
Okay.
I can't
just-
give you an answer right here.
No, no,
I'm not
no,
gonna
no,
say
no,
yes or
no.
But we don't get a lot of people in the office these days, but when they come in, how long those Jersey barriers going to be up is
Yeah.
what they ask me. So that's what, but it's true. You can't, Center Street, I mean, from Center, you can't walk down either side of Main. And because they always have something up here in front of whatever, where Alex is going. And-
Oh,
Yeah.
that half of a Jersey
so-
barrier.
No, it's right in the middle of the
Machine right in the
sidewalk, a machine right in the middle of the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
And it's time
Yep.
to get it gone, I think, because we ought to have one side of the street we can walk down. I don't think I'm the only one that walks down Main
No.
Street.
No, we can call Alex too and ask him what he's doing with that.
That should be wrapping up also. The plumber called me. What they've been doing is excavating in the basement for all the plumbing that has to go underneath the floor in the basement. He talked to me about aggregates that have to be put in for the plumbing pipes themselves today, so that leads me to believe that the trenches are done.
So they're on the, yeah, it's on the way. Good. Okay, anything else for Bill? All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items number 1, 2, and 3. Council Smart, please.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves a renewal application for a malt Vinous liquor license for Randall Wadley doing business as Governor's Restaurant, 963 Stillwater Avenue. Number 2, resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves renewal application for a malt Vinous and spiritus liquor license for and special amusement permit for Garvin Fowler Tupper Stairs, Post 3381 VFW Canteen, 173 Main Street. And number 3, resolve the Old Town City Council hereby authorizes the tax collector to write off uncollectible taxes owed for 1064 West Old Town Road in the amount of $4,813.25.
Great. Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. 6-0. Okay, moving on to public hearings and second reading of ordinances. First one, the City Council conduct a public hearing and second reading and final approval on a proposal to amend Chapter 21 titled Welfare Appendices A, B, and C of the General Assistance Maximum Amounts for the period October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. This amendment is a requirement of the Department of Human Services in compliance with Title 22 MRSA, subsection 4305, paragraph 4, attachment number 1. Open the public hearing.
Again, it's an annual adjustment.
Okay. Any discussion? Close the public hearing. Councilor May.
Resolve the Old Town City Council hereby approves a proposal to amend Chapter 21 titled Welfare Appendices A, B, and C, Food, Housing, and heating assistance limits of the general assistance maximum amounts for the period October 1, 2019 through September 30, 2020, is presented in Attachment 1.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Shirley, discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? 6-0. Number 2, the City Council conduct a public hearing on a proposal by the Old Town Planning Board to change 25,622 square feet of property from P Resource Protection to R1 Low Density Residential as depicted on the final subdivision plan number 2013015, Old Mill Subdivision, Map 16, Lot 32, and as such be depicted on the official zoning map of the City of Old Town. Consider scheduling a second reading for the final approval. The Old Town Planning Board approved the proposal at their September 24, 2019 meeting. Open the public hearing. David?
The Heibergers did a 3-lot subdivision back, and it got finalized in 2013. The lot on the corner of Spring and Bennick, they were in hopes of doing something with that lot themselves. They decided that at this age, they're not gonna endeavor into building a new house. They then put it on the market and found because it's such a large area of property, they were unable to sell it. So what they did, they brought it back to the planning board, amended that subdivision to take the 5-acre lot and split it into 2.5 acre lots.
Okay.
That area has all been zoned resource protection back in the 50s. Anything along the river by the Army Corps, they hired Dave Moyce to go out and he did soils delineations and deemed that that area would be fine to be taken out of resource protection.
Okay. Any questions for David?
Where is this?
On the corner of Spring and Bennick Road,
Okay,
where the chimney is,
gotcha.
Oh, yeah,
the landmark.
yeah.
Now, instead of a chimney, there's a really nice brick fireplace down there. Really cool. Yeah.
Okay, no discussion. I'll close the public hearing. Councilor Klitsch, please.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves scheduling a second reading for final approval on November 4th, 2019 on the Old Town Planning Board proposal to change 2,522 square feet of property from P Resource Protection to R1 Low Density Residential as depicted on the final subdivision plan number 2013015, Old Mill Subdivision, Map 16, Lot 32, and as such be depicted on the official zoning map of the City of Old Town.
Great. Second, that's Kyle. Discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? No old business, new business. City Council consider the appointment of Jill Scioscia as a member of the OTO Fiber Corporation for a term of 2 years. Councilor Ketchum, please.
So, the Old Town City Council hereby approves the appointment of Jill Scioscia as a member of the OTO Fiber Corporation for a term of 2 years.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Carol, discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? And could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Read
Second.
that earlier.
Kyle and then Shirley. All those in favor? None opposed? And it's 6:38 p.m.